Okay, welcome back, Eli. I'm glad we get to do another Axiom today.
Me too.
Yeah, well, we're on number 9, it looks like on our list. So it's the axiom of periodicity. So Lindlar had a lot to say about this. So I've got some quotes and things I'll bring up and some, I think, some relative case information I can bring into this too, which is really interesting. So,
I might. It depends how our conversation goes. Okay, let
yeah,
me tell you what I think of when you say periodicity.
okay.
And I've read, right, in the books, probably not nearly as many times as you have, but for me, it was always this idea that everything has a cycle
Hmm.
and it things happen in stages and in periods uh you can have remitting, you can have continuing, you can have repeating, like they're identifiable periods in the healing journal and journey, and that's how I've always thought of it. So I was really excited for this because I'm pretty sure I'm missing something key about this particular axiom.
Well, I think you summarized it really well. We do have cycles, and one of the quotes I brought out, and I can't remember if this was Lindlar or not. I wrote down, and this was presented at one of the vital gatherings. All natural processes are based on cycles, from sleep cycles, circadian rhythms, menstrual cycles, life cycles, and seasons. So it's Lindlar talks about this in chapter 23. He actually titles it Periodicity, is the chapter. Um, let's see if I can.
Which book are you in?
I'm in that old one. It's the Philosophy,
The
Volume 1.
philosophy. Okay, so I just wrote that down.
Philosophy, Volume 1, Lindlar, chapter 23, I think,
Okay.
uh, under periodicity.
Okay.
He
I know
says,
what I'm reading tonight.
in many forms of acute disease, crises develop with marked regularity and well-defined periodicity. This phenomenon has been observed and described by many physicians. It is not so well known, however, that under the treatment of chronic diseases by natural methods, crises develop in accordance with the certain laws of periodicity. This periodicity is governed by the Septimal law, or the law of sevens, which seems to be the basic law governing the vibratory activities of this planet.
Oh, the law of seven. Maybe that's the one that you were trying to remember.
This is the law of sevens. And I talked to Jim about this a bit, and he'd kind of forgotten this one too. He kind of glossed over it. But this was critical in my dad's philosophy of treating people. I'll go on here to the periodicity of this chapter, and then I'll go back to how my father used this.
Okay.
Um, the law of sevens dominates the life of individuals and of nations and of everything that lives and has a period of birth, growth, fruitage, and decline. The law of seven governs the days of the week, the phases of the moon, the menstrual periods of the woman. Every observing physician is aware of its influence on feverish, nervous, and psychic diseases.
Dang.
Yeah. Over 2,000 years ago, Pythagoras and Hippocrates distinctly recognized and proclaimed the laws and crises of periodicity in their bearing on the cure of chronic disease. They taught that alternating, well defined periods of improvement and crisis were determined and governed by the law of periodicity, or the law of numbers. The following quotations, and he goes on and on and on, and there's pages and pages. Um, I'll read one other little thing I highlighted here. Hippocrates, influenced as is thought by the Pythagorean doctrine and numbers, taught that there were to be expected on days fixed by certain numerical rules, in some cases on odd, in others on even numbers, the celebrated doctrine of critical days. It follows from what has been said that prognosis, or the art of foretelling the course and event of the disease, was a strong point that with the Hippocratic physicians. In this, perhaps they have never been excelled. Diagnosis or recognition of the disease must have been necessarily imperfect when no scientific nosology or system of disease existed, and the knowledge of anatomy was quite inadequate to allow for precise determination of the seat of the disease. But symptoms were no doubt observed and interpreted skillfully. The pulse is not spoken of in any of the works now attributed to Hippocrates himself, though it is mentioned in other works of the collection. So it goes on and on and on. He talks about, in accordance with the law of periodicity, the sixth period in any 7 periods is marked by reactions, changes, revolutions, or crises. It is therefore looked upon by popular superstition as an unlucky period. Friday, the 6th day of the week, is regarded as an unlucky day. Friday was considered hangman's day, right? Jesus was crucified on a Friday. Counting from the first 6th or Friday period in any given, turn the page here, number or hours, days, weeks, months, years, or groups of years, as the case may be, every succeeding 7th period is characterized by crisis. This explains why 13 is considered an unlucky number. It represents the second critical or Friday period.
Interesting. That is really interesting. I mean, I'm trying to think clinically what I see with some chronic illnesses. And is there a pattern that has emerged over the years that is shared? I really would have to think about this to think it backwards, because I'm not watching for it.
I don't think we are taught to watch for it.
No.
My dad would always say, this is why we have particular days of fasting. For a water fast with constitutional hydrotherapy, he'd say, we fast in days of 3, 4, or 7. So you do a water fast for 3 days, or 4 days, or 7 days, or then increments of 7. So a 14-day water fast. He had one patient I know that he did a 21-day water fast with. And that the hydrotherapies there are in series, and usually a series of 5. So we do 5 hydrotherapies, we do 10 hydrotherapies, we do 15 hydrotherapies. And my dad would say, when you listen to the heartbeat of a patient, and if you start them off with constitutional hydrotherapy, you have them in every day that you're open, 5 days a week if you can. He said by the 5th to 7th hydrotherapy, their heart tone will change. It will ease up. It'll be easier. The toxemic load is less. You can tell that the diet you put the patient on and the therapeutics that you're doing are working. So people always say, well, how long will this take? When you'll notice a change? I said, I can tell a change in you by the 5th to 7th therapy by your heart tone. And if that's not happening, then we're doing something wrong. You're eating an inflammatory food, or maybe you're just still way too much under stress and it's just a period we have to work through. But between the 5th and 7th hydrotherapy, the heartbeat should soften. It should become easier. We should hear that digestion is easier. The liver's working better. And so that was an expected sign of healing from the 5th to 7th day.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
At one conference we were at, I don't remember if it was during a presentation or on a panel and therefore is recorded, or if it happened at one of our tableside conversations, of which there were so many great conversations. That's my favorite part of Vital Gathering, by the way. Right? The conversations that happen in these small groups. Oh man. Anyway, you told a story to me about one of your first patients that made you realize that you were seeing a change in the amount of time that people would respond. And so you had said something to me like, and now it makes sense, where in the early days, you could listen to their heart tones and know they were responding to the therapy. And now it sometimes took several rounds before you could start to hear that change. And now this, it just fits in with what you're saying right now. That's what you were talking about.
Yeah,
Because I
that's
was
what I
going
was
to ask you, do you hear that improvement?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. And particularly in vital people, you'll hear it fifth to seventh day. For some people I'm working with, you might be working with somebody for 30 constitutional hydrotherapies before they're detoxed enough, before their vitality is strong enough that you start hearing the changes. So
Wow.
it's difficult. It's harder these days.
And that
Yeah.
was years ago that you mentioned that to me,
That
like
was years
over
ago.
10. Yeah.
I know it's only gotten worse. I mean, I read some of the old cases of Dr. Carroll, like, within 15 hydrotherapies, their cancer is reversing.
Right.
We don't we don't get those vital responses like that now. We have a lot more work to do. I have a fellow right now who was pretty crippled with osteoarthritis. I mean, he's beaten his body up doing a lot of construction work, really hard labor kind of work. He's a Marine veteran, a really super cool guy. But he's just feeling awful. He's on the anti-inflammatory drugs that just weren't healing him. He knew he was
Hmm.
just in a holding pattern. And he came in and said, "Doc, I'm dying. I'm
Hmm.
not I'm not thriving. I want to be back doing stuff. I want to be back building things. I want to, and so he's now had close, I looked at his chart recently, close to 50 hydrotherapy treatments. And he says, these have saved my life. I am telling everybody about these therapies. Everybody has to come see you. Everybody's got to get on their right diet. Everybody's got to do these treatments because Doc, you saved my life." and now he's our handyman around the clinic, and he's fixed a couple of things. He just wants to get in to do things
Yeah.
again. He says, "This
Wow.
isn't working here. Your door's not working on your therapy area." And I go, "No, I know. I got to fix it. I'll come in. I'll fix it for free. I'll come." So now he's been fixing everything around our clinic, which has just been really cool.
Well,
So
you had your knowledge elicited a profound realization within him, and that is that his body could heal.
right. And
Right?
he knew instinctively it could, but that he wasn't getting that answer from Western medicine. He just knew. He says, I'm just dying. I'm sitting here dying, and I can't do this. I've got too much to do, too many things."
I keep hearing this over and over and over again, especially out here in the homestead community, where they
Yeah,
say to me, I know it's supposed to be different than this. I know my
right.
body can be better, but nobody can tell me how to make that happen.
Exactly. And that's the major frustration out there for the people who realize that there's more there than a pharmaceutical drug to
Mhm,
to be taken,
mhm,
that they know, but they don't know where to go, because
mhm.
this our information is not being put out to the public. And that's one big part of NMI, is we have a mission to get this out to them. It's difficult for one doctor to do it all in our communities. We've got to somehow make it a broader scope of communication. But people,
Yeah,
innately they know it. Innately they know that they can heal, they can be better. Yeah.
yes. Well, you touch on something that I think is really important to bring up to our associates who will watch this recording. So you surely by this time are aware that today's field of naturopathic medicine is uh, going through some kind of discovery process of who it really is. And there is quite a bit of information put out there about one way to practice naturopathic medicine. And NMI is trying to fill out the full picture of that with that's one of many ways.
Right.
And I agree with you. I'm so thankful that this information is being preserved and taught, and the next generations um are accepting the responsibility to pick it up and then to continue to pass it on. It's so important. We cannot lose this information. And it could
Mm.
easily go under a swell, just like that.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's always interesting uh, how these little threads somehow still hang on. I mean, when
Mm-hmm.
I graduated from naturopathic medical school at NCNM, Dr. Jared Zeff was dean, and I think I had a graduating class of 12 people.
Wow.
And and it's I know there was a class, what, 10 years prior, 15 years prior, that we only graduated one doctor a year. That was it. We had one graduate.
Mm-hmm.
So naturopathy has always hung on by the hair of our chinny chins
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
to be here. And we now have bigger schools, bigger graduating classes, but that doesn't mean the education was preserved.
No.
And that's sad. I mean, it was really sad. And that is why Jim Sensenig and Jared and I and Tom Cruzel, we would have these conversations and later then you and other folks about how do we keep this going? How do we preserve it? Because we have to.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how
Mm-hmm.
brilliantly you came along and said, well, let's just start the conversation.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So we are.
You know,
Yeah.
last night I did a talk for the Oklahoma Rogers County National Homestead Ladies chapter.
Oh
And
wow.
the talk was on hydrotherapy.
Mhm.
Now, I am in this community as a doctor. We're not taking new patients because I don't have capacity to take new patients right now.
Right.
Um, Meaning I'm full up. I have as many as I can handle. And so, yeah, the tools of of my tools that I learned from you and others can be adapted, I believe, for people to use at home for themselves when they have no other option, literally. Like if there were 3 or 4 NDs, hint, hint, in Northeast Oklahoma, let just you just get a steady stream of referrals from me, right?
Yeah.
But because there isn't, and well, what do you do? And so I'm teaching these classes. And so I did wet sheet wrap last night. I did alternating hot and cold, just contrast therapy, localized.
Yeah.
Taught them about opposite and opposite, right? Type of that. And then I did a constitutional home therapy, but they understand that the full deal would have sine wave and would be done by a practitioner. And so they're getting an abbreviated, doesn't work nearly as spectacularly, but still offers benefit.
Still works. Yeah. Still
And then
beneficial.
socks. I talked to them about doing the socks, putting socks on at night. And these people, the outpouring of gratitude for this knowledge that they can start to do something
Right.
that's good for
Right.
themselves, right?
Yeah.
Oh, there's so much to teach.
There is so much to teach. And I think one of the things maybe we should just start doing is when we do these outreach talks is just record it, even if it's on your little phone thing on a stand. We just got to start recording these things and putting it out there for public use. I just don't know
I
any
agree. I
way.
agree. I have the two homeopathy on the homestead and hydrotherapy on the homestead. I have both of those uh, recorded format for people who can't travel to the meetings, and then I share them for them.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I would be really happy to, and I think there's a number of us who do these things. We could just say who is willing. I just ask y'all who's willing to, do a little talk and then donate the recording for public education.
Yeah. And all of these things can be archived and put to use for people. It is basics. I mean, we're not, there's no way we can harm somebody. It's only helping. And yeah, yeah. Well, Harry also had a great idea at the last call. Harry Swope suggested we do, look at my notes here, um, a video about what is healing
Mm,
and what else did I write down? And basically, how does the body heal? Just to just so we can get out to the public so they know how the body heals. They don't trust their bodies. They don't know how
No.
to trust their bodies. They're told not to trust their bodies. Like, oh no, that's a scary thing. I don't know what it's doing. So
Right.
just suppress it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
we need,
sure. Oh,
yeah.
even I get that. Sometimes I get a wacky little symptom and I'm like, am I dying? Is that like,
Yeah.
what I mean, it would happen. We're human. And when something out of the ordinary happens, not
Yeah.
out of the healthful state, because we're not all walking around in a state of health, but we can absolutely tell when there's a new symptom in our body.
Right.
Well, some of those, they probably have to make people think it. Is this it? Is this the big moment?
Right. Is this the rest of my life? Is this how it goes?
Yes. Yeah. And
Yeah.
no, the answer is no, it doesn't have to
No,
be.
no,
Okay,
it's
we went. So I drug us
yeah.
so far away from periodicity. I'm sorry about that. So
That is okay. That's okay. Um, let's see. I think I had a couple. What else did I have here? Um, oh, the other thing Lindlar talks about in the law of sevens is 7 years to fully renew all the cells of the body so that at the age of 7, you're all new again. By 7, your body has totally remade itself. My dad talked about this. He says, yeah, age 7, then age 14 at puberty, then again as you at 21, there's a shift, right?
and we
And then
see this.
and we see this, and he said, and watch, because most people die around the age of 70.
Mm.
70, but the age of 70 is kind of the natural cycle when, yeah, do you have the vitality to go forward or not?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That
So
point to no
that's,
return. Yeah. Jim said he thought it was about 70. He said if people could make it to 70, and this must be where he got it from, if they can come or make it to the age of 70 with joy and peace and balance and harmony in their life,
mhm,
aside from a catastrophic, chaotic event, he said they will likely live into their 90s.
yes, yes.
And that was his predictor, and he felt pretty confident about that.
Mhm.
Interesting. So how do we see this? Like I'm sitting here racking my brains trying to think, do I have a case? Like how would so we know this. We know that there's periodicity and we know it comes in these periods of 7. We know it's cyclical, but does that relate itself to healing within an individual patient? Like, do we see that pattern by patient or by, well, I'm a homeopath. I don't believe in an actual diagnosis of anything, but
Sure.
things they might name, do they have a periodicity to them? Like malaria. Malaria has a periodicity, but we know now it's because of the life cycle of the organism that's taken up residence in a body that was hospitable for them to take up residence.
Well, we see periodicity also in viral infections. This is why
Okay.
children have a fever at nighttime. They feel great through the day, then they have a fever again at nighttime. There's a periodicity or a cycle to that virus. The virus will flare at nighttime. So there is that, the cycling, there's that with measles, when we used to see measles, right?
Right. Right.
Wild, when we would see measles in the wild, and maybe I'm one of the few doctors who remembers that time, I guess. It would be that there was a cycle to the measles and a cycle to I really felt it when measles people would come in infected with measles. You could feel it. It's like, oh, we're on this part of the cycle, and now we're on that part of the cycle, and now that's going to resolve. Because I could always
Mhm.
tell a parent, this is resolving. You're going to be done with this in about 2 more days, and
Mhm.
that's
Mhm.
so you know, because we don't see these infections in the wild now, and even chickenpox is not a wild strain now because of the shingles vaccine that's totally changed the wild chickenpox.
Mhm.
The cycles, you could see it in develop, you could see it go through the transition, and you could definitely hear the heart tones of patients. So you could know if it's resolving quickly or not.
Mhm. Mhm.
Is this person struggling to recover this? And if it's not recovered in 7 days, then I'm like, you need to convalesce. It'll be 14 days. In 2 weeks' time, you're going to be out of this. So I knew there was that natural rhythm um, with the wild viruses and things, but I think it's changed a lot because of the
Mm-hmm.
vaccines and constant vaccination of these kids now, and everybody is immunocompromised, in my view, because of the way we've interjected and suppressed the natural rhythms of the metabolism.
Do you
Um,
know there's a paper that Daniel Chong posted? Uh, I don't know if you saw it or not. It's about the effect on the long-term effect on the immune system now that these substances are circulating in humans. It's a very, very good paper.
oh,
I think we should talk about it. Not now. I
okay,
think it should be a vital conversation where we either talk to Daniel about it or we find maybe
okay,
Jared wants to read it or what's his name, Greg Nye,
yeah.
and wants to say, what does this mean clinically for us as nature cure and vitalists? Like, what are we going to do? Like, how are we going to assist the body? There has to be a way. We self heal. I don't know that they've forever changed the genetic structure of humankind. We can reassemble our DNA to what it's supposed to be.
Well, we know already that COVID critter is reshifting all its genomics to throw
Mm-hmm.
out that stuff that was put into its virus.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
coronavirus doesn't like that stuff in there. We know it's mutating all the time. I believe we have the epigenetics to combat these things. I think we have the ability to, and how that pans out. I mean, I don't know. Did we create a new miasm in
Right.
in
Right.
in our world? Did we have a new COVID miasm now? And what is that? Is it lung and heart stuff? Is it autoimmune stuff? Is it um I'm not sure. I think there's a lot of mental emotional stuff that's come with it. Um
Do you
for sure.
think, I'm going to throw this out there. Do you think that things like the bubonic plague have periodicity? Like they've come and gone. Historically, we can read that they come, sometimes they stay 50 years and sometimes they lasted, what was it, to over 212 years.
Right.
Is that periodicity, do you think, or is that not? Is that more human influenced?
Maybe, well, I wonder if it's the stressors on the population at the time.
Mm,
Were they deprived of certain nutrition for that
mm-hmm,
period of time? Were they starving for certain things at that period of time?
mm-hmm,
Did they, was there war at that period of time that triggered that? you know
mm-hmm,
you always have to think about what were the stressors on the environment. How did that play out with epigenetics? How did it affect how the metabolism responded? What were the weaknesses of that whole community of people for so long that disease could linger that way?
mm-hmm,
These diseases are only opportunistic. They're there because they can be. And
mm-hmm,
so what was it that they didn't have, that they
mm-hmm.
that they needed?
Yeah, why was their ground bad? Well, Basham wrote about that in his papers, how even with yeast, he talked about the periodicity of yeast and the yeast bloom and right the way as they metabolized their environment, they basically destroyed their ability to continue in the form they were in, and then they had to
They had to change.
transmute. Yes,
And they had to change.
exactly.
Well, there's this thing that happens in science when you put critters in a petri dish and you give it certain nutrition, and then it eats up all its nutrition and it can't thrive and survive anymore.
Mm-hmm,
It either dies or it mutates to something else. And
mm-hmm,
so, we're the humans in the petri dish right now. And we are seeing the stressors that's putting on our genomics. We're seeing the stressors it's putting on our environment. And we're in a crisis. The world's in the planet, Gaia, is in a crisis. We have that incredible fire that hit Maui, devastating. I'm heartbroken over that. Can't imagine the people living in Maui with that devastating fire. So we have these world crises in our environment. We have human crises, and the stress I think that is putting on our epigenetics. We're seeing more and more people, humans, who are not able to conceive and have children for further
Mm-hmm.
generations, either because they can't, they're infertile, or because they choose not to, because they now have a mindset that's shifted their epigenetics and their being into being transgender, gender confusion, all of these things happening. This happens in all populations of animals on the planet when they're under stress.
Yes.
See it with
Yes.
amphibians, we see it with frogs, we see it with
Snake.
salamanders, we see it with all sorts of things. We know that that's the stressor on our human bodies right now. We're at that point, and we know all civilizations do not survive
No.
forever. All civilizations crash. What
Mm-hmm.
comes out of that? The flames. What survives?
Well, what survives are the small, we know this, the
Yeah.
small, very small human communities that are feeding themselves and their very small community, and they're not reliant on money because they have bartering systems set up, and they have alternate transportation, often in four legs. Like
Yeah.
these small glimmers survive around the world.
Yes.
How we
There's
continue to be a species.
exactly. And we've done that for millennia.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Periodicity. Well, I wonder what period humans are in. Okay, I keep distracting you from the question. So how might we also look for this? So I understand the periodicity of a fever. What about chronically? How do we recognize, do we see it in chronic illness, or no? What do you think?
Well, I see it when people are healing chronic illnesses. Um, so, like, I just have a young gal who's been on immunosuppressant drugs for psoriasis.
Mm,
And the next step was I wanted to put her on biologics. And she says, no, I'm smart enough to know I'm not going to do the biologics. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to suppress my immune system. I'm only 27 years old. I want to have children yet. I'm not going to do that. And
mhm.
so she came to me wanting to know if it's possible to heal her psoriasis. And I said, yeah. So here's how it's going to go. You're going to change your diet. She's potato intolerant. We took her off potato, her inflammatory food. We started her on hydrotherapy and homeopathy. And I said, listen, you're coming off the drugs. You're going to get a flare. You're going to be in a crisis. It's okay. Bear with it. We're going to soothe your skin with a white salve, witch hazel salve. You're going to be okay. And it's going to not feel comfortable, but it won't be terrible, right? So she was prepped, and sure enough, about a week in, 7 days into the
Mm,
hydrotherapy, the skin went just beet red, head to toe, terrible. Her chest was worse. I said, okay, now this is how it's going to go. You're going to clear this part, and it's going to be worse on your extremities. That's why I expect, might not go that way, but we'll see. That's what I expect. That's what happened. Probably about the next week, so now we're 14 days in. It starts coming down to the skin. She goes, oh, this is clearing. This feels so much better. Oh my, look at my skin is so much, look at my face is better. And yeah, but it's really cracked and bleeding on my hands, but I'm okay. And so we saw it clear that way. I
Wow.
think at one point I put her on a water fast when it was really severe at the beginning, the first week. I said, "You're going to fast for 3 days or 4 days on water, nothing else. Let's get you through that." So I see that with the chronic healing chronic diseases. I see that cycle happen. I see it with I had a fellow with severe gout and arthritis and pretty crippled with his hands. He couldn't go fishing anymore.
Mm-hmm.
He's a retired veteran, and and I put him on I think it was a 7-day water fast. And the fourth day, the pain was easing. He could do full, he hasn't been able to make a fist in years. So
Wow.
within a few days, he can make a fist. He thought it was a miracle. And so I see that, shifting 7, 14, 21 days. And that's why we do like 5 hydrotherapies and then let it coast for a couple days. And then 5 hydrotherapy is like the week is a perfect timing. 5 therapies through the week, weekend off. 5 therapies through the week, weekend off. And you just keep going like that. Or you give a week break and then do it again.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's why I say, at the end of 15 therapies, we're going to give you a week off, and then we're going to do 10 more, and then a week off, and then we're going to do 10 more. But we're actually doing that cycling with
Mm-hmm.
the
I
seven.
see that. I see that. Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. I really am going to go read some old patient charts and I'm going to pay more attention to the timing of things. I feel like I just didn't think about following that or
No, we don't.
and why would that be important? Well, I can see right away in my own interaction with people, it'll help me predict where and when, if
Mhm.
right, where and when and
Yeah.
what and
And
what.
and what? And what? And you might find that there's a timing then to dosing the remedies.
Yeah,
There
that's
might
exactly
be,
that's what I was
yeah,
thinking.
right. That there'll be I'll often say, well, dose this for 3 days,
Mm-hmm.
and then we're going to wait a week.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're going to check in with you. We might have you redose it again. We'll
Mm-hmm.
see, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So there's that. When people always talk about how to dose remedies and how long to dose and things like that, I innately go back to that. I watched my father do that kind of dosing. I don't know. I'm not well versed in homeopathy and shadowed many homeopaths as you have, but um, I wonder if there's that kind of dosing that's just naturally occurring because it feels right, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh,
Um,
I'm such a geek that I'm going to go see if I can make some like an Excel spreadsheet and pop it into a graph. What I know, right?
yeah.
I want to know, do is there, like, I know it's a very individualized, medicine is individualized, but I also believe in these cycles and I believe in the axioms, like the laws of nature, right? So what might I find? I can't wait to do that. That's the most exciting thing I've heard all day.
It's neat stuff, it's really cool when you're in tune with the natural cycles, and it always feels right when you are, right? You just kind of like, this is where I'm supposed to be. You get those, ooh, this is where I'm supposed to be right now.
Yes.
And it's not even quite a deja vu, but it's kind of a deja vu, but it's
Well,
like,
it's like a deja vu for me. It's
yeah,
like
it's like,
when I'm
yeah,
not there, it's like an orchestra out of tune and every instrument playing its own thing. And when I am in sync,
yeah.
it's there's actually like a coherent song or that, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you can hear the dissidence. It's like, what's that? There's something not right there. And I think that's a big part of when we're dealing with patients is like, um, I guess as a healer, I'm always kind of connecting subconsciously. It's like, is this person out of sync here? Does this feel right? Does this, you know, um, And people will say, how come you didn't put me on XYZ supplement? Or how come I didn't? It's like, not right now.
Not
No,
right now.
that
Yeah.
can wait. Not right now. But I need it. I need it. I said, no, not right now. You don't. You don't need right now. You need this
You're
because
right.
I'm the doctor and I say so. And stop Googling that.
Dr. Google. Yeah,
Because I'm
totally.
paying attention to the energetics of the person. I'm paying attention to where are they at in that healing process. And does that even make sense for them to be taking a high dose of B vitamins or something right now? I don't think so. Right now, we just need to really focus on, supporting your liver, or we need to focus on this botanical to help your kidneys right now, or I've got to get you through this acute infection. And your body here's that law of energy, right? Conservation of energy. Your
Yes.
body has to be able to focus on this. We can't distract it with all this stuff and powering in this other stuff that now it has to deal with this high dose of something else when really it can manage that. We just need to help you with this part.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's the art of the medicine, and the timing and periodicity is important in that.
It is an art. It's
Yeah.
totally an art. You know, oh wow, I was so intently listening to you that I had a thought, it went right out of my head. So that's
Oh.
okay. That's all right. That's good. It's a good thing. Um, it was something you said, and I inside I was going, oh, oh yes, yes. But
It's gone. Oh, I'm
it's all
sorry.
right. No. Okay.
Oh man, I know. There's a quote I have sitting here to read, and again, it's from this book I found called "Restoring the Soul of the World,"
Oh
and it's by David Fiedler. It says it's not possible to participate in the great work of nature without experiencing a self transformation.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's not
Mm,
possible to participate in the great work of nature without experiencing a self transformation.
mm-hmm. Truth. That's truth to me. That's truth.
Right. So
Absolutely.
when, as physicians, we experience these things and we grow as doctors, and every patient is an educational experience for us. Well, I'm always learning from my patients. I still am, always will. Um, that connects you more to the rhythms of healing and the periodicity of these things and the cycles that happen, and you become part of that. If you're walking your walk and talking your talk, you become a part of that, and you can see when things are out of alignment. You can see when there isn't truth in this drug for this patient, or there isn't a reason why they were told to take something or do something, but it's not making sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's part of that being in nature, that we're connecting with these axioms we under, and we're just learning them, right? So Linlar wrote a bunch down. He didn't have all of them.
Right.
you know
Right.
he didn't have all of them. Wendell didn't have all of them. I mean, we've been piecing this together from so many different old literature and things, Hippocrates and Pythagoras and all these people. This is the first time, I think, in our naturopathic history for sure, that we've been codifying these laws of nature's tenets, or now we're calling them axioms. And there's more to sort out. I'm even Dr. Paul Tario sent me an email a while ago, and I put it with my Axiom notes here. He says, "Hey, Tish, I think there's another one called the Principles of Levels of Organization."
Oh,
The
Jim talked about that all the time.
levels of organization.
Yes. Yes. I love that.
Number of self-regulating wholes come together and organize, together forming an even greater, more complex and integrated whole. So thank you, Paul, because now I think
Yes.
we have another one to add. Um,
Yes.
so it's a work in progress, and I think it may never be done, but
Well,
it's need to codify what we've got and understand, right?
we need to put it in a book and publish the book.
Yes.
NMI does needs to publish it as a,
Yeah.
it'll probably end up being a volume 1 and volume 2, because over the coming years there may be other things that pop up that need to be added
Yeah.
or clarified, or
Or
things for
clarify, or other works maybe somebody else has written that add to that
Mhm.
context of information for that axiom. Yeah.
So why do you think this self-healing capacity and the way to make that work at its best, why is this so obscure for people? Uh, Like, why are we not, like, animals don't even think twice about it. They just are part, they don't think about it. I know that's the answer to my question. I,
Yeah. As humans, we have to dissect things apart and we have to make things more complicated in our lives, I think. And, we have this whole industry now that's for profit, and that drives decisions that are not in sync with natural laws.
mhm,
So I
mhm,
think that's I think that's the answer, is when we've turned over the power to the industrial complex. We've lost we've lost sight of that as a community, because people now are not taught to trust their bodies. They're not taught that symptoms are merely a symptom that the body's out of balance, and that the body can be trusted and it knows how to heal. They're not even taught that.
well, no, and I think this is all thanks to the thing we inherited from Pasteur, the personal friend of the King of France, who couldn't conduct an experiment on his own nor come to logical conclusions had he been paid to. This perception that humans have that what's out there is the only thing that matters, and by all means we have to keep it out of us. And I don't just mean bugs, right?
Right.
That thinking alleviates all response from each individual human for the state of their existence, the state of health that they live in.
You
And
know, humans are naturally lazy. We
we
don't
are.
we don't want to work that hard. We
No.
think if somebody else can think for us, then why do we have to do that? I heard, the doctor said to do this, and they're educated and they know more than I do. So yeah, I'll do what the doctor says. And if the doctor says I need this, biologic drug to control my psoriasis, then okay, that sounds the
Yes.
new and greatest thing. It's got to be better than what I'm taking now. So,
Or my doctor wouldn't suggest that I take it.
right, because doesn't the doctor have my interest in mind?
Well, they probably do. They all want their patients better. I think all the doctors out there want the same thing. It's just you either hammer a nail in with a hammer, or you hammer it in with a screwdriver, or you hammer it in with a hoop, and you'll never get the nail in. You're like, it's the tools and the knowledge. Thank goodness.
Right.
Thank goodness for you and Jim and Tom and Jared and Chris and Broadwell and all of those people. Like, just thank goodness for all of you.
Yeah, we stand on the shoulders of giants. Without Dr. Boucher, Dr. Bastyr, and Dr. Broadwell is a big part of it too. There were others that I knew as a kid that I would always be at the naturopathic conventions with my dad, and I'd see all these amazing physicians, and they had so much to offer and teach. The difficulty is we almost lost the medicine.
Mm-hmm,
Schools barely survived, and then
mm-hmm,
they started thriving. Uh, we hired people to educate our doctors who were not naturopaths and
mm-hmm,
didn't know the medicine.
mm-hmm.
And then we lost that thread in our schools. And it's still there. There's some really great instructors at our schools that have that
Oh,
and new
sure.
and have learned it. And so it's there, but it's not taught clinically so that new graduates understand, hey, I'm going to set up a practice and this is how I do it. You
Right.
know, they don't have it at the tip of their fingers. They have to go figure it out. They have to go find it. And but that's
Right.
why we're here. That's why NMI is here.
Oh, yes.
I know.
Well, if y'all have questions about periodicity or examples of it, or want to continue this conversation, jump on the VC and tag us. Um, and we're happy to, chat with you because we know this is a recording. So,
Yeah, and I bet there's some really cool cases out there you guys have. This would be really a fun one to open up for discussion. Uh,
mhm.
so yeah,
Especially y'all who are using homeopathy, chronically and in a constitutional way. Do you see a periodicity? Like, I would love to compare notes with everybody on dosing or on
mhm.
disease progression, how it changes, if there's any, not that it would change anything we do, where we're still going to just follow the case, but it'd be curious to see, does it follow some law, some
it,
pattern?
it may enlighten the pattern. We know
Yes.
patterns and seasons to diseases. Like I said, when
Yes.
measles was out in the wild, it would always come in the fall.
Right. Right.
We had the whooping cough would always come in the spring. We had these seasons to the diseases that we would see. Um, yeah, so we know there's the cycles out there.
Yes.
Yeah, cool stuff. It's fun stuff. I'm going to leave with two quotes here. They're also by that book, Restoring the Soul of the World. Um, he says, we live in an ordered universe, a cosmos in which the parts are harmonized within the whole through ratio, pattern, and proportion.
Can we
We live,
read that again?
I will. We live in an ordered universe, a cosmos in which the parts are harmonized within the whole through ratio, pattern, and proportion.
Mm-hmm.
To be fully alive is to be engaged with the rhythms and patterns of the natural world. But to be fully human is to reflect upon and celebrate this relationship.
Oh, wow.
So to be fully alive is to be engaged with the rhythms and patterns of the natural world, but to be fully human is to reflect upon and celebrate this relationship. Isn't that like an ultimate quote? I love it.
Maybe we ought to make this book part of getting your FNMI ultimately.
I think so. That book, I've taken a lot of quotes out of it for the axioms. It was it was just one of those soul fulfilling books to read and
Mm-hmm.
go, yes, that's it. That's what I know. That's what I practice. That's how this fits together. It was that kind of a book for me. Really neat. So just to reiterate, the whole title of that book is Restoring the Soul of the World, Our Living Bond with Nature's Intelligence by David Fiedler, and it's Fideler is how he spells it.
Awesome. Thanks for that. Well, this has been a great conversation. What's our next axiom?
The next axiom is holism. Number
Oh,
10, holism.
holism.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then we have intention, and that would be number 11. But there's a couple more. I'll just talk briefly about the one Paltario brought up was the axiom of organization.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about another one called laws of forces of nature, which would encompass, I think it's going to be three things: law of attraction, law of polarity, and law of resonance.
Mm-hmm.
All
I
of those
agree.
things go together. And so I was trying to think, are they separate axioms? But I think they're just laws of forces of nature.
I think so too. And we know we're always discovering new forces of nature. So it would give a home, a future home to other, like, oh gosh, we're out of time. There's so much stuff I want to talk to you about all the time.
It's okay.
Remind me the next time we're together to talk about this development of extra senses, the research that's going on in neurosensory perception. Um,
Neurosensory
yes,
perception.
which
Okay.
it brings a lot from extrasensory perception, except that that always made it seem like it was something outside of the body. And what scientists are suggesting is that we have receptors internally in the neurosensory system
Yeah.
to pick up on these other things. That's what I thought about when you said it. When you
Ah,
said you can feel it, you
yeah.
can sense it. You
Right.
probably have a very well developed whatever this new sense is going to be called. You probably have a very well developed one.
I might, and I think I've developed that through the Carol training and
Hmm.
things. Um, but I know I was innately born with some of that. Um, and I think it's a part that can be developed. And
Hmm.
I think if we went back and could research old healers, I
Hmm.
think they were highly developed in that.
Hmm. Hmm.
Medicine men were highly developed in that. Um, you know, Herbal women healers were highly developed in that. That's how you could tell, oh, this plant will heal that person. This
I
plant,
think so too.
yes, because
Yes.
you can walk through a meadow and go, I need this herb and this herb and this herb, and
Hmm.
that's what I need for that person.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's how Jared can go to his homeopathic materia medica and pop it open and go, oh, this is the remedy that person needs.
Oh, wow.
It's how that works.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
That's so
pretty cool
cool.
stuff.
Okay. Listen, have a really great day. And then
Too.
I'll talk to you not next month, but the month after.
Yep, we'll be back
Okay.
again.
All
Okay,
right.
thanks, Eli.
Bye.
Take care.